It seems like our culture has set up two extremes when it comes to mental health. You're either on one end and you're just fine, you're okay, or you're on the other end and you're messed up and you're crazy. There's no in between. There's one extreme or the other. But like many things in life, mental health is not black and white. It's not all or nothing. It's really just on a big spectrum of varying degrees of functioning and impairment. And honestly, if we only look at it from a black and white standpoint, we're really setting ourselves up for failure because you're either okay or you're not. And that's not realistic. So instead, we want to set us up for success by looking at mental health on a spectrum or a continuum of health and function. Here's what I mean. Based on both nature and nurture, we are influenced by our genetic code and our environment. And that's what shapes who we are and what we become. We learn how to cope or not cope based on what we are taught or not taught in our lifetime. We learn grit and strength by the challenges that we experience in life. And we also learn how to overcome obstacles by that same grit and strength. Or we just learn how to do things to get what we want. And then when we don't get what we want, or life shows us its ugly side, or maybe we're a victim of some circumstance or trauma, then we get stuck. So then maybe years later, we find ourselves surprised when the rest of us kept growing, maybe only a part of us got stuck. But all of a sudden that part that got stuck is creating some type of emotional or mental limp in ourselves. Something that could just start as like a nagging annoyance, but eventually really affects our day-to-day lives. And sometimes that's the process that happens when we develop a problem. So in mental health terms, we find ourselves having a problem when that limp is no longer avoidable and our level of impairment is something that we can't just ignore. So whether it's something that happened as a kid or something that just happened a few months ago or something that's just been building up gradually over a life that's been really hard and painful, you know it's a problem when it's there. This is where the spectrum comes in. It's not, do I have a problem or do I not have a problem? It's where on the spectrum is my problem right now and how is it affecting my life? What level is my issue at right now? Maybe you thought you didn't have any issues and then you get married and all of a sudden the marriage is way harder than you thought it would be. And there's all these issues coming up from maybe childhood or your parents' marriage that you're like, what is going on? Or maybe you felt like you'd really overcome that issue that happened way back when, but all of a sudden you get triggered by something that somebody says or an event that happens and you're thrown off by that. Remember, your issues and problems are not going to look like everybody else's. That's why mental health or illness isn't a black and white thing. You know you have a problem when you have a problem, no matter where it lands on the spectrum. And by this, I mean that your symptoms indicate that something's off. Maybe you don't handle things quite the way you were able to before. Maybe things stress you out more than they used to. Maybe you get way more irritable with some things or people than you really should. Whatever they are, your symptoms are the indicators of the level that you're at on the spectrum of what the problem looks like for you. And this includes the people that are closest to you in your life, maybe making some comments that they're concerned about your choices or your behaviors or whatever. So here's the cool thing. Maybe you do go get help and you get there and you realize that, my problem really wasn't as bad or severe or big of a deal as I thought it was. 3 sessions later, you walk out refreshed and rejuvenated and you're confident. Or maybe you realize that you were right and the problem was a little bit more severe and impairing than you realized. So let's say 6 to 12 sessions later, you walk out feeling empowered and knowledgeable and ready to really move forward in your life. Having struggles and problems in life is the human condition, but so is hope and progress and strength and growth. So be encouraged. All of us have problems. It's just a matter of where they land on the spectrum of our level of functioning and impairment. And if you're tired of struggling, get some help. Or even if you just want to know if you are developing a problem, that works too. Let me know if I can help in any way and join us next week on This Full Life with Kelly.